Hello and welcome back to another very happy What the Falk Sunderland review show. It was another excellent afternoon at the Stadium Light as Sunderland made it 5 wins from 6 thanks to Chrissy Rigg's audacious finish against Middlesbrough. We just want to get stuck into it, to be honest, as we always do, so let's just get straight to it, really. First and foremost, Ross Black joins. Ross, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, very good. Another enjoyable evening at the Stadium Light. Well, evening, afternoon, whatever it was. Noon high. You know what I meant.
Good day.
But I very enjoyable. It's becoming a nice norm going to the Stadium Light and coming away happy this season. 3 out of 3. Haven't even seen us concede a goal there. Long may that continue.
I'm going to say no goals conceded either. Brad, you've joined us as well, 2 weeks in a row now, but you're back for a win this week. You get to discuss a win. I know you're going to be one of the happier men on the pod tonight, but I'll ask anyway. How are you doing? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. First time in 7 months and 10 days I've talked about a win. Not that I'm counting. Very good. Yeah, buzzing. Just a good day overall, mate. How are you?
Yeah, really good, mate. We normally would drive up in the morning if it's an early kickoff, but we had a night out in Sunderland last night, so we went to is it called the Keel Tavern, and we went to Mexico 70 and stuff like that. So we had a really good night, stayed in the Hilton. I've had an absolutely class couple of days. It was just topped off by like a really, really good win and just a good day. Look, everyone listening to this knows how good of a day it was. I don't need to tell you, but it was a particularly good sort of 48 hours for me, mate. But thanks for asking. Peter, where are you joining me from this particular week?
I'm at home. I'm in my Berlin bunker, my podatorium. I'm severely sleep deprived because I wasn't here today. I watched the match in a lay-by somewhere in the middle of Brandenburg with interestingly enough, with a cameraman who isn't a Sunderland fan, South African Arsenal fan, never seen Sunderland play since probably the last time they were in the Premier League. Absolutely impressed with what he saw. I mean, obviously, came away elated from it. But if I fall asleep during this, it's because I've been on the go for, I don't know, whatever time 4 o'clock this morning was compared to what time it is now. It was a long old day. But no, absolutely buzzing, man. It's been class. It's just happy. Some of the stats make for interesting reading, though. We'll try and get into them a bit.
It's funny that I actually looked at stats for the first time in a while, so we will get into them. Ross, I'll come back to you. Obviously, a 1-0 win over Middlesbrough is simply another excellent day for Regis Lebris and the team. I normally ask how you're feeling, but I know the answer. How are the emotions tonight? Because I think the first few weeks of the season, when we were winning games, it was like, oh, well, this is good. Then you were like 2 wins and 2, and you're like, oh, this is really good. Then you're like 3, and you're like, ooh. Then we had the defeat last week, and you were like, But it's like 5 wins in 6 is probably better than we could have imagined. Like, if you're talking anything better than that, you're talking dreamland. So, look, it's a long old season, but like, how are the emotions in terms of like Sunderland?
Today I was really, really pleased, and I'm allowing myself to get more excited after today than I was the previous 4 wins, if that makes any sense. Because I thought after Plymouth, right, we're going to say what we're about now. Was it a flash in the pan, or are we really going to be up there? Not for automatic straight away, but at least be competitive top 6. And to be fair to Borough, I actually thought that they were probably the best team we've played at the Stadium Light so far as well, on balance.
Without doing anything though, like
that was partly down to us though. We nullified them quite a lot, I think. But to be fair, like you say, we weren't. I don't think we were great today, but we've got something about it, haven't we? Like, we're hard to play against, we're hard to beat. Apart from when we have like that 45 minutes capitulation, you'd say, against Plymouth. But even then, it was a penalty, an own goal, and an error by Patterson. So we kind of beat ourselves. I know that's easy to say in hindsight, and it's like it all sounds a bit like, of course that happens. But when we're on our game, when we're organised defensively, and when we take our chances, as Rigg did today, then there's absolutely no reason why we can't be up there. And I'm just really pleased after that today, because it's given me a bit of validation that, right, yeah, the Plymouth game, we might lose some games this season, but it's not going to be one like, oh, we've lost one, now we're going to lose two, now we're going to lose three. It was good just to get that win back and stop the rot. If it was a rot, it wasn't, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think we spoke on the show last week and we said, like me, Pete and Brad all agreed, this is going to be about how you respond to that. And I think like that's just the perfect response because it wasn't just a perfect win. Like we had to dig in. We had to really there was a point in the first minute where I think it was George Edmondson got the ball and just fought it on for like a full minute and people were like, get into them. But you could tell we were like, well, no, come and bring it. Like we'll take it off you and we'll do something. And I think as much as Borough had a lot of possession today, for me, it was because we allowed it. I don't really think they had any chances outside of, I think you could say Tommy Conway should maybe put his header away, but I mean, there's always going to be one chance. So, look, for me, I was delighted with it. I thought the atmosphere of the whole game was fantastic. I thought the display was one of the best we've had. I thought it was really well planned out. I think it was just one of those days where everything sort of worked out, and you do get those days in the season, but on the back of 4 wins in the last 5, it just makes it feel like something's actually brewing properly, which long way to go in the season. But look, if you continue at even 75% of the form that we've been putting in the first sort of 6 games, I think we'll be there or thereabouts, which is, I think, what we were hoping for. Brad, same to you. Look, I know you don't want to get excited sometimes because, well, you do want to get excited, but you don't want to get too excited because you feel like, oh, what if this all comes crashing down? But I think today's win would have been a good win in isolation, but on the back of how well we started the season and the fact that we lost last week and we talked about response, that's what makes today's win so exciting, doesn't it, Brad? It was won in a different way and it was won well and it was a deserved win again.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll touch on more of the stats, but when you see a team that's had 64% possession and they get beat and you haven't watched the game, you sort of think, how on earth have they lost? But I think watching that today, it makes you understand why some teams win a lot of games despite not having a lot of the ball, because the shape was and the desire from everyone from minute 1 till the end was outstanding. It's fantastic. I think it's just more just an enjoyment to watch. And I put it in the group that I haven't felt this happy watching us, obviously, since Mowbray 2 seasons ago. But that was a completely different reason. I thought we were very good with the ball, and I said I likened us to 2011 Barcelona. But now it's for a completely different reason why I enjoy watching us. I enjoy watching the amount of work that they put in off the ball to get it back and how quick they want to break. And we're not just hitting hopeless balls if we don't need to. There was times today where Mundell and Rigg were doing the bit at the back, and rather than just lump it along, hopefully my end might run onto it, they were just trying to break out. And there was a point in the second half as well. Dennis Sturgeon with a little the little step over around the world.
It was the Maradona turn, wasn't it? Like pressure. What pressure?
Brilliant. It's the confidence that they have as well, and that feeds into the fans. We have confidence in them, and they know that. And there's times as well where something might go wrong. You don't hear very many moans and groans because we can see there's a very clear identity of what they're trying to do, and we're behind them 100%. It's just fantastic to watch, mate.
Yeah, it's just brilliant. I think there's not too many complaints there. I don't even need to ask, how much credit Regis Lebris deserves. I think he's got us playing as a team that you can see there's a really clear identity in what the game plan is from the day dot. Seeing the game plan, knowing what it is one thing. For the opposition, stopping it seems to be a very difficult thing to do, unless you're Plymouth. And that was, like I say again, I think second half, probably our own mistakes, despite the fact that I think Plymouth did play well last week. Like a lot of those mistakes we made last week were very avoidable. The other games, I don't think we've made many mistakes. I actually don't think we have at all. You could say 09's own goal against Portsmouth, but that happens. Outside of that, what mistakes we really made. But Pete, you've been excited since the start of the season. You've said 100 points and you've been keeping tally and all that kind of stuff. So I was going to ask, are you excited? But there's no point in me asking that. Like, how excited are you, should I say?
Like a Ben before Christmas, man. Head gone. 85 points. 85 points, 87 goals, I think, so far off that 100 total. Look, as an exile, watching it and having to watch it from away, last year, I think I said it was a bit of a relief to not have to trudge off to the Stadium of Light every other week to watch games. This week, I'm sat there and, not only am I thinking, God, I wish I was there. By the way, the display before looked, I don't know what it would have been like inside the stadium. It looked class on telly. Looked absolutely brilliant. But as I say, I'm sat watching it with a neutral lad who's, probably hasn't watched Sunderland play in over 10 years. And he's saying, oh, God, looks great there. Looks class. I've also got people who I know here who are big Union Berlin fans who are now thinking, can you get us to go some tickets to go to the Coventry game in November? We're thinking about going to see a game in England, and we wanted to not go and see one of the main teams. I said,
don't you bring anyone for their first game against Coventry again?
This is exactly what I said. Well, you know the story. I brought the first game my wife ever went to see was Coventry last year. So I'm trying to talk them out of that one a little bit. It also clashes with when I can get over. But yeah, look, I mean, I'm Googling things that would financially ruin me and potentially break up my marriage, of how I can get over to Sunderland every other week or as often as possible to be able to try and watch them play, because it looks so much fun to be there. And it's because a little bit what Brad said there, when they're playing well, there's a thought to it, there's a process to it. You can see it. You can see it happening sometimes when they break out the back, but they can't stop it. And there's something about the way they're playing and the way they've got that plan going. I think when you look at that Rigg goal, he's yes, please. I've just noticed. I'm going to say that out loud, Brad. He's just said this in the chat here. Can we have some sponsors to sponsor Pete the Fly over for Sunderland games? I will advertise for anybody if you are there, if it gets me free flights within a very, very slim amount of reason. Anybody. Anyway, no. So, but if you watch that, where the amount of Sunderland players they have on the edge of the 6-yard box when Chris Rigg does what he does, that wasn't happening last year. The amount of times balls were coming in and there was just nobody there. I think it's Mundell and Mayenda. I'm not sure off the top of my head now. I think it's the two lads there. Either of them are in, and there's somebody else as well. There are 3 of them in positions other than Rigg who are there to attack a ball if it comes loose again, or if Rigg can only get it back across. That makes such a big difference. It's whatever Regis Labrise is doing, he's doing it well. And I'm thoroughly on board with it. He only asked us if I was excited. And I've already said I will haul myself out to anybody for flights. But no, I will. I really will.
Hashtag pay for Pete, we've already said. Hashtag pay for Pete.
Exactly. I will have some of that. There's no direct flights from Berlin because fate hates me. But, there is a connection through Amsterdam. Or a flight to Edinburgh in the train. I'll make it work. Right.
There's no direct flights to Pontyland Airport.
There's no direct flights to Pontyland Airport from Berlin. And I don't know whose fault that is, but I'm choosing to believe it's Pontyland Airport's fault. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. A lack of transit communications between the northeast of England and the capital of Germany. But completely derailed me train of thought now. Anyway, as dead happy, as very excited, and lots of people, as I say, lots of people are sitting up and look when they see Sunderland play, or even people that have a passing interest in football and know that I'm a Sunderland fan, are coming up to it, speaking to us and saying, looks good for you lot at the moment. It really does, but I do keep telling them that Chris Rigg's rubbish and Job couldn't kick my backside.
Job, who is also in the advert for the new EAFC/FIFA for us old heads, which I think is the first thing, isn't it? It's definitely a first for us, which is might be a good thing, might not. But you're right in what you're saying. My travel's not as far, obviously. It's 3-ish hours. But the first 2 games of the season, the atmosphere has been amazing. It's I've been a really unity. It's been class, and I can understand if you're not there why you're thinking, fuck, I wish I could go. And there's so many players on the pitch you can pick out. Ross has started with you, so I'll come back to you on this. You always get a player to pick out. It's every week, pretty much. We're doing this now where I'm saying I bet you can pick one person out. This is the obvious choice. But you can pick about 7 here, and I probably wouldn't disagree. Who are you gonna pick out, or was that a stupid question?
I'm gonna piggyback you guys and say Job. I thought he was outstanding today.
Best player on the pitch, I thought.
Second half especially, just took the game by the scruff of the neck. I think, especially when we were going forward, everything seemed to go through him. I don't think I've seen him win as many tackles as a Sunderland player. He got stuck in everything.
Can I
really
give you
good.
stats for today? Don't mean
no, I
haven't.
haven't.
What? 100% dribbles, 100% of tackles won. He won 6 of his 7 duels, and his passing accuracy was 89%.
Yeah, he's just turned into a really good number 8, box-to-box midfielder. He finally, fair play at Lebris, he's finally went, look, he said from the start, he was like, this is his position. He's a left-sided number 8, really, because he links up well with Mundell as well on that side when Serkin's not bombing behind him. So I thought he was outstanding there, and physically I feel like he's becoming more rounded as a man. Obviously he's grown, he's still a young lad. I just feel like he's starting to be more in his body in playing football as well. If that's, I know it's hard to say that because we're not there in training, we're not seeing the stats, we don't know how strong other people are really on the pitch. But he just seems to be. It seems to me like he looked like a young lad playing football last year at times with glimpses, whereas this year I think he looks like a man and he's starting to bully professionals on the pitch, and with his technical ability and his brain, I think that added nous that Lebris has brought in, not just the whole squad, but also individuals defensively. It's really added another layer to his game, and yeah, I thought he was outstanding to me. I know Rigg got the man of the match because it was a fantastic back heel, and I'll not go on about him because I'm sure someone will want to piggyback that. But to me, Job was the best player on the park.
Yeah, me too. I thought Joe was absolutely tremendous today. I don't know if anyone's watched it because predominantly you probably wouldn't because it's the Jude Bellingham documentary, which is like half an hour episodes he's put on YouTube. And I love Jude Bellingham, so I thought I'd watch it. But there's actually like a lot of Sunderland in it, and he released a new episode on Friday, and he was talking about Job, and he was saying that look, I was like allowed to flourish and be the player that I was without kind of any pressure outside of like go and enjoy your football. He's like Job, like whether we want it or not, like people are going to look at my achievements, and he's going to be like burdened by that a little bit. And he's like, and I just want him to go out and like forge his own sort of career and do his own thing. I'm his biggest supporter. He said he wants to carve out his own career. He says, but what people don't realize is like with that expectation on top and the comparison and the things, he said it a lot more eloquently, did Jude Bellingham, with the things that, could affect him. He's like, he just handles it with so much class. He's like, he has more pressure at his age than I did than I did when I was his age. And he's like, and he just handles it with so much class. And he's like, I just want to play with him for England, like a regular basis. He's like, that's my dream. He's like, if I can play with my brother for England, win stuff for England. And I'm listening to it. And it makes sense to me. Like, I think it will. Unfortunately for me, I think his ceiling is really, really high, along with Chris Riggs. And I know people won't want to hear that, but you can see what their ceiling is. But I think we do sometimes forget that Job, yes, he's going to naturally get the comparisons, the lazy comparisons that people that look at him as Jude Bellingham's brother and all that kind of stuff. I think we forget how much, not just last season, but definitely this season, he carries it, and he does carry it with class. And look, I very rarely disagree with Jude Bellingham, and I'm not going to start disagreeing with him. I'm not going to start disagreeing with him now. I've had a few beers. I think he carries himself with so much class. And there's sometimes I just forget he's 18. Because there was points on the pitch today when he was like an absolute animal, like just pushing people out of the way, just absolutely ruining people. Like he won 100% of his passes, 6 of his 7 duels, almost all of his passes reached a red and white shirt. And like defensively, he's good. Offensively, he's good. For me, and I've said this countless times, I cannot understand anyone that doesn't rate Job. I just do not get it. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm not saying that's a right or wrong opinion. I know some people don't rate him, but I just don't get it. I think the kid's absolutely flawless. I think he's brilliant. And we haven't even started talking about Chris Rigg yet. So, Brad, are you picking Chris Rigg or are you picking somebody else out, mate?
No, I'll leave that for someone else to do, really. Because I put in the group, didn't I? I've got no words for him. If I didn't pick him last week, I'd have went with Paddy Roberts again, but I'll go with Chris Metham.
Class.
For a debut to come in I'll go with Chris Mepham, yeah. For him to come in that atmosphere, when we knew we weren't going to have a lot of the ball, and then I think there was about 4 or 5 times in the second half they were putting balls in, and he was just chucking his head in the way. I think he even picked up a bit of a shoulder knock as well. Like, he was an absolute animal. And I tell you what, as well, he's very good with his feet. And I didn't know. I'd heard of him, Bournemouth, and everyone's just. Well, I've heard seen things written about him as just a really good defender. But I think today that he is really good with his feet as well, and he really does suit our style of play. And I just think he's the type of player that we've been crying out for since Danny Bartlett. An experienced centre half. That is what we've needed. You can talk about we were missing Corey Evans, which is your captain, your central midfield, then you get Alan Brown in. Being in midfield is a bit of a different job. If you're a centre half and you've got that experience, you see everything pretty much. There's only one player on the pitch that sees more, and that's the goalkeeper. But I just think it's so vital if we want to take that next step that we have a player like Chris Mepham in the heart of defence. Look, Luke O'Nien, we love him. He is that experienced player as well. Is he? It's the same argument. Is he or isn't he a centre half? For me, he is. But he's also a leader. And to have someone like him alongside and Mepham alongside him, I think will bring his game on even more. And I think them two worked really well together, and he stood out for me today.
Yeah, he massively did for me as well, mate. I thought he looked a player that has played in the Premier League regularly. He stepped in just dead easy, and I thought, look, just so I don't miss him out, O'Nien again. Just he's consistent. I don't get anyone not loving O'Nien, but here we are. I don't think anyone doesn't love him at the minute. Everyone seems to really like him, so fair play. Pete, you've got a load of choice. I don't know what more we could add to Chris Rigg, to be completely honest, but you're welcome to take him or someone else if you prefer.
I am going to take Chris Rigg, and it more to do with the comments that Lebris had about him at the end. Look, we have to talk about that finish. It takes some balls to attempt that. It takes physical prowess and actual ability to carry it out. I mean, I would like to think I could have a crack at that myself, but I couldn't pull it off. It takes something to be able to do it. He's got himself into a wonderful position, and you think that's gone, and he takes care of it. But what Lebris is saying after the match, where he says, "Look, Chris Rigg is the proof and the plan for the model." He doesn't say the word model. I can't remember what he says. Pathway is the phrase he uses, which I like much better than model. He says Chris Rigg is basically the perfect example of it, because if you are a young kid right now and you're looking for where you need to go to develop your career, Sunderland must seem like a hell of an option. And if you're the parents of a child who's going through that, or you're the agent even, because they have agents from a very young age. If you're the agent of a child like that, you're going to be thinking, Chris Rigg's in that first team, Job's in that first team, a lot of young Mayenda's in that first team. Obviously, Mayenda didn't come through, or Job come through the academy, but they had this Dan Neil, Rigg, and Patterson all in the first team, academy players on the bench. It must look like a very enticing option to perhaps not the next generation, but the next generation of top-class European and even world footballers. And that is something I don't think we were saying about Sunderland Football Club 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Look at the way the lad celebrates when he scores that, man. I like that. That's a great photograph that the lad who does the stills and the videos captured. He's got a lovely long lensed wide shot, and it's Rigg just perfectly in the centre, off the ground, jumping and punching the air, celebrating with the fans behind him. Yeah, he might have Geordie family, but you know where his heart is. His heart lies. He was impeccable today. He's impeccable I think he's been impeccable 99% of the time of the minutes he's played this season. Barely put a foot wrong, barely done anything, certainly nothing worth mentioning. He's far too good, and I fear for what he's done to me, because I know that day will come. I know he's too good for me. I know he's too good for me. This is why I can't have nice things. It will hurt when it comes, but I'm determined to try and enjoy it while it's there. But I don't think a player has played for Sunderland that's got that under my skin from certainly not from such a young age. I mean, I'm a 41-year-old man. I shouldn't be walking around in the summer talking about what's this 16-year-old going to do if it's not my own child taking their GCSEs. You know, and that's not what I should be doing. It shouldn't have an impact upon my day to day, but it did. And he's a wonderfully gifted footballer. He seems like a fantastic kid. I saw the video as well with him from the Jimmy Montgomery suite with Lee Howie afterwards.
Lee Howie.
Yeah, exactly.
That was great, by the way, when it was announced he was coming on the pitch at half-time to do the draw. Rory was like, and welcome to the pitch. Lee Howie, Lee Howie, Lee Howie. And like the 20,000 people who went to the concourse were like, yeah, bravo, Ray, the cunt. Fantastic.
Twice as well. I think.
Yeah, look, Chris Rigg, not only a wonderful footballer, but a wonderful, potentially the first of many of great young players, not the first of many, but to lead the line of a new generation of the first of many wonderfully gifted young players that will look at Sunderland Football Club and think, that is a club where I am going to get to play first team football under a coach who seems to be, you know, I'm kind of worried. We're talking about losing players, and we shouldn't be, but we have to keep it in the back of our minds. Lebris keeps going the way he's going to be very sought after. He is a top quality coach, I think, that we've got there. Now, you know, it's easy to say that when he's won 5 out of 6, but like, yeah.
But he has. He
has, and that takes some doing. And the way he conducts himself, the way he speaks in interviews, the way clearly he has them playing, it doesn't seem like there should be anything groundbreaking about what he's got them doing. Play a high press, look for the outballs, be a bit direct on the break when you can. Doesn't seem that complicated. Make sure you get players in the box when there's opportunities to get the ball in there. But that seemed to escape Sunderland, not just under the shower we had at the end of last year. Also, you know, at times under Mowbray as well, it wasn't there. And just to go back again to what we spoke about right at the very beginning, there is a clear plan. It doesn't seem like it's an overly complicated plan. I'm pretty sure Michael Carrick knew how Sunderland were going to set up today, but they can't stop it. And I don't think Borough are a terrible side, but they couldn't make any of the possession they had count, and they couldn't create any proper real chances for them to have to trouble Patterson, really, could they?
Yeah, so I feel like there was a point when they passed it around the box a bit, and the lad behind me went, "It's good, that, keep doing that, because as long as you're passing it around the box, you're going to do absolutely sweet FA." I think Chris Rigg, I'm not a fan of making massively big statements if I can avoid it. I'm 38 as of this month. I think he's the best I've ever seen come from our academy.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't argue with that at all. I think he's one of the best young players, and I would put Jude Bellingham in that category. Not that I watched an awful lot of Birmingham when he was playing there. I watched him more when he came to Dortmund. But like I would put him up at that level.
It's having a similar level of impact, I think, as what like you kind of heard about Jude Bellingham. Like, oh, this kid's doing quite well at Birmingham, isn't he? And then you were like, oh, there's big clubs out and mine must be decent. As much as it's painstaking, like that's happening with Riggy now, and it's happening for a reason. This at the age of 17, I'm sorry, like Henderson. I know we were in the Premier League at that point, but your closest example, your Hendersons, your Pickfords, they weren't near the first team, and we were like middle of the road Premier League team. So I suppose there was a league difference, but I just think I just don't think I've seen better than Riggy, to be honest. One quick thing I want to run through with you, Ross. Probably I'll come back to you on this one. I watched the highlights before the game, before the podcast. Sorry, Robert's directly involved in the goal again today. It's in his first 6 games. He's got 1 goal from the penalty spot, 2 assists, which is already more than last season. However, Sunderland have scored 13 goals. I've watched the goals back, and either an assist, a goal, or an assist to an assist, if you prefer, a direct goal involvement. Patrick Roberts has been involved in 7 of them, which is more than half. We all know what he's capable of, but how much are you enjoying Patrick Roberts again at the moment?
I just back to his best, isn't it? And I think
Yeah.
I need to take full credit of that, because when I bumped into him in the Metro Centre in the lift before the season started, I think,
Hi, Patrick.
hi, Patrick. He smells lovely, by the way. I had to get that in there. But he looks back to his best. He looks like the Patrick Roberts that, other than last season, we've known him in the Sunderland shirt for how long? So I think not just attacking wise though, him and Mundell have absolutely bought into the defensive work as well. Like last season against Borough, one of our downfalls were Roberts and Falk not defending well. I think it was Roberts? Or it might
Yeah,
have
it
been Bar.
was.
It was Bar, sorry.
Oh, it's Bar,
Bar
you're
no
right.
sheesh, yeah. Who, by the
Who?
way, are missing.
In
That's
action.
a different story.
Are
But
they
yeah,
dead?
and they could be dead. They've actually done a Hielder. They've actually died.
They've joined Helder on the dead table.
Aye. I've lost my train of thought. It must be the loss of train of thought podcast here. We just keep on going on little tangents. But Roberts looks back to himself. He looks like he's enjoying himself, and I just wish sooner rather than later, because it's going to happen this season, because he's came close so many occasions, he's going to cut inside on that left foot from 25 yards out, and it's going to bend in top bins, and it's going to be bloody fantastic. But both wingers outstand today, and long may it continue. And I'm going to say it, I think Mundell is better defensively off the ball than Jack Clark, which is helping us even more.
He is. I agree with that. On the evidence we've seen so far, I think the fact that we're 3 or 4 weeks on I think it's 3 weeks on from Jack Clark being sold, and we've not mentioned him at all. That's all credit Mundell. Like I say, we could have done a podcast on each player, to be completely fair. But there's one question I do need to ask Brad. I'll do a quick roundtable here, because the referee was inconsistent, shall we say, on both sides. I'll come to you first, Brad. Hume, red card? Aye, no?
Yeah.
Do you reckon? I didn't think so.
I'll go back to my usual one. Remember Embleton when I gave it an orange?
Yeah.
If that's in the Prem, that gets looked at by VAR. And this is not about the rules. This is the inconsistency of referees. 50% of referees would send them off, 50% wouldn't. That's all I would say. It's hard to tell what the barometer is. I'm orange card. I've seen players go for less.
I watched it back, and I think it's borderline, which was basically orange card territory, isn't it? But I think it's not above the knee. Doesn't really go in with stud. It's just a hard tackle. So I think I'm leaning towards a cheddar coloured yellow card, slightly deeper yellow. But look, it didn't happen, and I think the argument for me with that was, I think Cappuccino Latte, whatever he's called, should have probably been sent off for that second book in 909 when he viciously attacked him twice at separate times. Pete, the foul on Mundell by Luke Ayling, for me, Stonewaller won it.
Penalty all the way. I do think Hume should have gone, mind. I think it was a red, but no penalty. Absolutely. I think. I mean, do we really want to start going down the route of actively analysing the referee in English football? I'm not sure we do.
For 4 months left, I don't think we could. We'd need another 4 days, probably.
Certainly not without you paying for the premium account. Look, it's a penalty. It should have been given. It wasn't, but thankfully we don't have to worry about it that much.
I think both sides had things went against them. I can understand Bora being frustrated about Hume, and I can of course understand and feel the frustration that we didn't get, in my opinion, at least one penalty. I watched the Mayenda one back, and knowingly it is outside. I thought it was inside, and I was incessant in the ground, but there's decisions there that could have changed the course of the game either way. As it was, they probably evened out, and we won 1-0. So, suck on that, I guess.
There was another one that should have been a penalty. I don't know if you've noticed it, but I've seen it back. I think it was Mayenda gets a good push off. Is it Edmondson?
It's Mayenda. Yeah, no, he was fantastic today, and I think I don't think he got a shot away on target, but I thought he was absolutely fantastic in all the work he put in. But that's a pen as well for me.
Yeah, the ball came over, he's jumped, and Edmondson has literally pushed him in the back and lost his balance. And I mean, I didn't see it in real time, or maybe I wasn't looking or whatever. But when I watched that back, that's as clear as day penalty.
In terms of
again, another one of those that we're glad we're not ruining them and looking back on them going, we should have had that and we were robbed for this. But both of those should have gone.
We did have some listeners' questions which were decent. I'll try and do a quick round of them. Ross, that's what we thought of Mepham. We've covered that. But is Mepham's role his to lose now, Ross? I.e., I'm guessing means in place of Ballard.
Yeah, I think it probably is. Ballard can be used as the battering ram when we need him, but I think we need to let Ballard actually recover from his injury and get up to speed, because we clearly rushed him back too much and he didn't have a pre-season, so let him have his pre-season now and play him when we play. Sure, when we play Tuesday, Friday, coming up against Derby and Leeds, he'll be needed then when we rotate the squad.
Nice to have the rotation in the squad. And Brad, I'll leave the last question with you. We've got a couple of minutes left here, but I think it's Leroy Leary. I could be wrong. I'm really sorry if I got it wrong. But Isidore looked really good when he came on. And if not for a slip by Mayenda, could have been in on goal. I absolutely love Wilson Isidore for what it's worth. And if he doesn't score goals for Sunderland, it's such a travesty, because cult hero in the making. But how much better is the squad depth this season, considering like last season he said we would have had Bart as Robert's replacement from the bench, and he's not even on the bench at the minute, for example. It does feel like the squad's stronger, doesn't it, Brad?
It does. And I mean, look at the bench today we had, and it's a credit to the academy, a few under-18s in there, a couple of under-18s. But then you've got to think as well, we've still got a couple of them to come back in as well. We've got Alan Brown to come back in. We've also got what's he called?
Alessi we've got as well.
At least, and then the one we've just signed who's a Champions League player, I can't remember his name, slipped my mind.
Abdul Samad, I think it's
Samed or something like that. So we've got him to come back in. So, I mean, the squad depth, it's going to worry me quickly, because Trey Hume is now on 4 yellow cards, so inevitably he's going to get a suspension. So that's where you're going to be looking at. You probably have to put 09 as a right back if he wants to keep the same shape and get Ballard in that way. So you might want to leave Ballard out the side so you don't risk him breaking down, because you're going to need him in at some point with Hume being out. So
it just feels that the squad's much stronger, and like there is certain parts of it, but I think you would need a proper crisis in suspensions and that for it to go wrong. But look, everything's wonderful in the world of Sunderland, lads. I'll just leave you all with that, because I'm just happy and I'm going to go have a nice drink.
Happy days.
Going to let you get some sleep, Pete.
Yeah.